Welcome to T is for Transformation. I'm your host, Shaun T. And I want to tell you, oftentimes when it comes to fitness or anything, people need more than one way to transform. While we celebrate a lot of our guests that come on here, and I've definitely helped them, and I'm so humbled to be a part of their journey and a part of yours, this episode is unlike the others. We have a big surprise for our guest, Jonathan, today. He's a gentleman that I found literally scrolling social media, and I saw one of his videos and I was like, oh my goodness. You'll find out more why I was so floored in a little bit. He has not only been impacted by me on his fitness journey, but someone else who you may know very, very well. So I want you to stick around because you will not want to miss this surprise episode.
All right, Jonathan, thank you for being here with me today. As you know, you're a part of, the Shaun T story documentary, T is for Transformation.
Yeah.
You're here because you have a profound story, and we want you to kind of tell us a little bit more about it. If you could just get me started on how you came to begin your journey with Shaun, all those things that really inspired you. Take me through that and how Shaun started your journey off.
So without, digging too deep, growing up without a dad, my dad passed away when I was 2. So I grew up in a house predominantly with females. I grew up becoming a very heavy set kid in a predominantly different demographic area. So I struggled a lot. I stayed back a lot. I didn't have a lot of support at home because I had a single mom that would work. Fast forward to when I was about 17 years old, give or take, I was almost 250 pounds. It's very unhealthy for a kid that age. I decided to get into kind of working out, but I never took it fully serious because I never had accountability. I never had that characteristic of sacrificing and being consistent until the summer, 2010. I was sleeping and it was 3 a.m. I hear somebody screaming and I'm like, who is that? And obviously I'm waking up. I'm like, who's screaming at me? You can do it. And I'm just like, listen, dude, relax. I just woke up. I don't even know who you are. Mind you, it was Shaun. It was those wonderful infomercials that would remind you while some people are still awake at 3 a.m. eating a donut. And they're like, oh, great. Another fitness program. To me, it was a fitness program that changed my life. Even though I was fairly still young, Insanity was the one that kind of jump-started my career, I guess, into fitness. Lost 30 pounds. I went from about 250, I got down to 200 from doing volleyball and not eating too much. Once the whole Insanity thing came along and I actually stuck through with it and was able to understand accountability and community and realizing that I know they're on TV or through the DVD back in the day, but I just knew that they were there. Everybody that was working out, I'm working out with them. I'm not by myself. I know if I fail and I'll look in the back and I'll see somebody else not failing, but they're also not ahead of the game like everybody else to remind me that, okay, I can do this as long as I give it my best every day. Fast forwarding to the end of the program, there was a lot of throwing up. There was a lot of crying. There was a lot of, I see you, you can do it. Don't give in. If I could, what did he say once? He said, I would giggle if I was able to breathe. I was like, oh, that's funny, right? Ha ha ha, with all the around the world squats and all the, I still remember my mom opening the door and looking at me while I was doing what were they? The Heismans that he used to make people do with the little ladder, because that was Asylum. Because then I did the next one and my mom's like, why are you jumping around at 6 a.m? I was like, well, I'm trying to lose some weight. And I got this dude screaming at me and she's like, right. And then she would close the door and never understand. And then now, 10 years later, within those 10 years, I was just personal trainer. I was finding myself throughout those years. Eventually, I came to Instagram and social media's changed. Then I saw Shaun again on social media, and I was even more proud of him to see that he went from just.
And you're gonna see Shaun in person. Let's go.
No way. What?
Jonathan.
I'm gonna try not to cry, so we'll
You
just,
can cry. I love crying. How are you?
Oh,
Nice to meet
man.
you.
Thanks, bro. This is, wow. All right, composure.
First of all, thank you for everything that you said. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. This is something that I don't take lightly because my passion is not fitness. My passion is transforming people's lives. When I found you in this viral video I think I actually messaged you or something, and then I didn't come back to like, I don't know, it was a while later.
Yeah. My heart was hurt a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but we're here together. We're here
No, I'm
today.
kidding. If my fiance was here, she would have told you I was jumping like a little kid. I was like, I can't believe this. You don't even understand.
Tell me about how that viral video changed your life, because it was really, really, really impactful.
Oh, thanks, man. Especially coming from you. Mind you, I actually had multiple videos before that gone viral. You know how it is, you kind of figure it out. But my original video was from like 2 years ago. That one got like 30 million. Basically, the one that you found is me going into my bodybuilding journey, right? Before it was just me losing weight, right? Doing it on my own. Just want to get back to that old body I used to have and consistency and sacrificing. But once I got to that video that you saw, I just finished a bodybuilding show.
Yeah.
And that's why I was just like, what are the odds that this guy did a bodybuilding show? The guy that used to make me jump around like a grasshopper, and now he's over here looking huge, and I'm just like, well, looks like I'm gonna get back into a show again. So I have to thank you for that, because I'm gonna actually start prepping out very soon.
Oh, you are? I was actually wondering if you were gonna do it, because I know you're so busy helping change people's lives as well. And I think one of the things that is just incredible is that you've taken your transformation and you have said, you know, if I can do this, I can get other people to do this. So tell me about the people's lives you're changing now, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Like once we find a way for ourselves to do it, to be able to do it, it's either I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna live my life in great, or some people try to find a way to help other people. So tell me how that's going.
The one thing I finally learned, right, is vulnerability. Till the day you get to the point where you're up against a corner and you are so vulnerable, you have no choice but to change. 2001 of March, I was 250 again, oddly enough. As an adult, my testosterone was almost at a level 100, which is terrible for a man in his 30s, right? That's something else I like to tell men in between 30s to 50s. Hey, there's a lot of good things that you should do with your doctor and get hormonal, checkups.
I'm so happy you brought that up, and you'll understand this because you compete in bodybuilding. I absolutely love when I hear our women talk about hormonal imbalances and they need help in different areas. And I'm not a woman, and they go through different stages in their lives. And I feel like it's supported and celebrated. But the minute we talk about we need testosterone as men, then other men is like, you're cheating the system. And I'm like, why can't I help myself build muscle? But when we talk about hormonal health for women, it just seems like an imbalance, not from women, from fellow men.
It's a very diverse kind of thing, right? It depends on perspective. It depends on how I like to say, people pick and choose what matters. I had a video where I put, you're a cheater, you use testosterone. I had people tell me, I can't wait till you die. I had people say, your heart's gonna stop at 40, 55. But when you see these people, they're projecting, right? But then there's other men out there that are like, hey, I'm also on TRT or whatever kind of hormonal plan that I'm following with my doctor, and I've never felt better. I've had clients natural and some clients on TRT. All they've ever said was, I feel better, I feel alive again, I feel like a man again. And I try to get my clients to not go, well, back in the day when I used to be in football, and I don't care about that. It's about today and how great can you become today? Because I did what I did today. What I did back then was back then. So if I can do it, I can do it today.
Yeah, I share stories to be impactful and make people raise their eyebrows, because 2.5 or 3 years ago, it's probably TMI, I said to my husband, Scott, I was like, yeah, I don't think he's as he used to be, like my erections weren't where they were. And I was actually like nervous.
To talk about it?
Yeah, and it wasn't like horrible, but it just felt different. And actually reached out to a friend of mine who's a woman, because I felt it was easier to talk to her, because she talked a lot about hormones. And then she introduced me to a doctor, and then I was able to get my levels checked, and they were like, oh, this is it. And then so fast forward like a couple months later, Scott and I have an intimate moment, and he was like, you're fine. So, I mean, I keep it very real, but for me, it's a real thing.
Because people deal with that.
Yeah.
I don't know why people get uncomfortable with talking about the things that make you uncomfortable. That's
exactly
how you change. But when you don't want to and just complain about it, right? What I always say is, find a solution, don't make it a confusion.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That.
I am upset though to hear that, like, not you per se, but the fact that it was a woman that had to help you. There's nothing wrong with women helping you.
Of course.
But the fact that you can't lean on another man because it's either a judgment or it's some kind of perspective that they're gonna look at you. For a great example, my church, we do this thing with like transforming men. Very awkward for me at first. I don't trust men. I stay away from men. grew up without a dad.
Yeah.
Right? My dad died when I was 2 from alcohol, liver cancer. You literally were like, not a father, obviously, let's not go that far, but you were a male role model for me. You helped me in a very dark time, been abused mentally, physically, emotionally by other men. So it's like, that's another thing. And I saw your story the other day, which made me love you even more, man. I've been in situations like that. Sorry. But I get it. You know what I mean? I do hope that you can see that there's still room out there for other men that are willing to listen to you, like cry, like what you just did for me. Never even met me yet in person, and yet you allowed me to be vulnerable with you. So I'm able to express myself vulnerably with you just as much as you can. However, like I said before, that social media kind of thing too, there's just this weird film almost. Like you could see right through it, but there's just so much nastiness there that you're scared to just be like, hey, I need help.
But you're not scared because you continue to push forward. I love how you keep going back to the root and a part of your life where you were able to change. And speaking of changing and speaking of men, which I think is really cool for us to talk about this, and speaking of bodybuilding, obviously insanity was very much
Go ahead.
a
Careful
HIIT
with what you
training
say.
workout.
Yeah, plyometrics, everything.
Plyometrics.
Yeah.
But you know, one of the things that made me so happy within the very first conversation that we had is you were like, did insanity, you helped me, but you also talked about how you did P90X and how Tony Horton changed your life. And I was just like, wow, so tell me a little bit more about Tony.
So there was Tony, I mean,
What about this Tony guy? What are you talking about right now?
Okay.
Who is this Tony Horton fella?
What is happening here?
Yeah, I don't think this guy's. What is up?
What's going on, man?
Nice to meet you, brother.
This is a blessing from the both of you. Really, thank you, gentlemen, so much. Wow, I'm gonna try to not pass out.
This is all Shaun's idea.
Was it?
Yes, indeed.
Wow,
Yes,
this is amazing.
Yeah, we
Wow.
have 42,741 more people to come in, but you are number one.
You're number
Oh, wow.
one.
Look at that, finally, number one in something. All right, you guys really made it happen for me. Wow, this is something else, man. I don't even know what to do right now. I don't even know where to look.
I thought it was really important because it's so often for me to hear that. They're like, oh, you and Tony. And Tony and I have never been able to do this. So
Really?
you're the first time we've been able to
No way.
share
This is the first?
Yeah.
a transformation story with someone.
Dude, and this is the first time we've seen each other in 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years,
Yeah.
my.
Yeah.
It's a
How
reunion.
come you guys never, did a little?
Well,
little
there was
collab?
talk. There was
There
talk.
was? That would have been something.
I still get that to this day.
So
They're
what's
like,
happening? I mean,
can you and
listen, we
Tony
can
do
start doing
something
push-ups,
together?
pike push-up. We can start doing around the world. We just mix it all together. Yeah, I remember all the
But I don't want to cut off that because, Tony came here today and I do want you to tell him how he impacted your life. It's not all about me. I can help you transform, but I know there's other ways. And I'm like, I know Tony. This is your opportunity.
Oh, God. All
Because
right.
you started with Shaun.
So, well, basically, I started with you.
I'm
right?
flexing
I
every time you do that.
Well, I have to,
'Cause
you know what I mean?
Shaun's-
I gotta get the
Hold
camera
on.
to look right there, you know what I mean?
Let's go, Tony. Let's go.
I originally found P90, right? The first
The
one.
original
Oh,
Power
you are the
Yeah,
old
way back
school.
in the day.
Yeah, I was wearing
Before you
shorts.
got fancy.
Yeah. That's when he had like that really nice slick back hair, and I was trying to copy it, but it never worked.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Power 90. I was a little stiff.
It was a little scary.
I had the
right?
short
was
shorts
yeah.
on.
No, but it was
Yeah.
great though. So I remember doing that for a little bit. I was like, all right. And then I saw P90X, and then I was just like, oh wow, this is serious. And you were very different, very energetic, very
Wait,
motivational.
speaking of that, you said something very interesting. You were like, Shaun and Tony are complete opposites. And you said, Tony's like my uncle and
here we
Shaun
go.
is like my...
But he's like the friendly uncle, and he's like the angry dad that's gonna come and find you, right? Like you're gonna get it done, while he's just like, come on, bud, come on, just stop acting like that. You can get it, you can make it happen.
But the
But then-
confidence of that is really amazing because you said Tony helped build your confidence and I
Yes.
helped build your resilience. And I think the combination of that is
Wow.
like...
So like you guys would always have this similar theme of the principle of how I go with my clients. So it's a sacrifice, consistency, and adapting. So based off of what I learned from you two growing up, you taught me time under tension. You taught me how to throw up.
Which is good. Dig deeper is the method.
Oh, true that. What happened was, anything I've learned in life was that if anybody will do something, right, you just take it and then make it your own. It's not like you're
Right.
copying. It's not plagiarism unless you really copy it, right? But that's why
Yeah,
you guys are
you
similar.
can't rip off a push-up or
Yeah,
a pull-up.
you
or
guys are
whatever.
similar, but you guys are also different. So I kind of took what I learned from both of yous and bodybuilding and then merged it. So my clients, I've had, I got to thank God for this one, 500 plus clients so far, internationally and
Good
domestically.
for you, man. Look at that.
And the beautiful part is, I never told you guys this because I never thought I'd ever meet you guys.
At the same time,
let's not
while
get
on
into that.
camera.
Yeah, I know.
What's happening?
Yeah, I'm trying not to freak out. Basically, I'd be like, hey, if you're like a home client or if you're in a hotel, guess what? Go do P90X or go do Insanity. So I would always make my clients follow you guys because even if they didn't do it, just the 5 minutes alone would make them, will humble them enough to be like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
John's serious, right? He's not gonna give me or equip me with something that's not gonna be like a, not just a weapon, but like your fortress itself. Like you're gonna be able to take over the world if you're able to do this. Just this right here, because if you take this level of faith that you have in fitness and you apply it to relational, physical, financial, you will become top tier. All that, and then just put it everywhere else into my life. So I gotta thank you both for
Dude,
that
spot
too.
on. Yeah, it's what's really nice is to witness, kind of who you are at this point and the influence you're having on other people. And we pulled from obscurity, the two of us, right? You doing your own little thing, and I was whatever. I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and living on power bars in my broken down Mustang, training, rock and rollers.
Those
and
little pegs that you used to have, I remember.
Yeah, still do.
There you go.
Still doing the peg. But yeah, I mean, and the fact that we were able to make a difference in your life and millions of others, and now you're passing that on. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's why it always comes like paying homage, right? The moment, I wasn't expecting you, but paying homage when Shaun said come out here, I was just like, of course I would. If it wasn't for both of your changes for me, I would not be able to say today. Overall, I think I have over 100 million views of all my videos together.
That's awesome.
Within 2.5 years with my PR, because we made like the statistics and all that stuff. That's a lot of people that if they didn't just do it, they at least saw it. It's a reminder, right? That's another thing. You guys planted seeds in people's brains, especially at 3 a.m, the both of you. Right?
Yeah.
That was
I'll
an
never,
hour, 3 in the
I'll
morning.
never let that one go.
Yeah.
While our workouts are different, the common denominator comes from the other side, from people at home eating the chips, the burger, or waking people up
potatoes.
at 3 o'clock in the morning. You have to take a step to invest in your fitness. There would be times where I'd be walking down the street and I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but people would be like, Shaun T, do you have any Hip Hop Abs DVDs in your
In the
trunk?
back of your trunk.
No, and I would be like, you need
Right
to
here,
invest.
baby. I got a whole.
And I found that when people invest in something, it actually takes them further because they actually put some skin in the game. Tell me about that and how you are helping people invest.
I actually had a client. He at first wasn't a client, obviously, because he didn't want to pay X amount. I'm like, that's fair, right? Because money is the thing. Fast forward a couple months, he goes, hey, John, I had a heart attack. I said, I am so sorry, and I am glad that you're doing better. But my business was more important to me. I was like, all right, now picture this. If you passed away, your business would go under. So all that hard work for nothing, because you're being stingy. You're not looking at it as an instant gratification. That's the problem with our generation. I'm only 32. He chose the fact that since he's not gonna get skinny right away or whatever goals he was gonna get right away, he didn't wanna do it. But once he had that heart attack and realized, oh, okay, yeah, this is a big difference now. Then he called me, hey, I'm signing up today. And I was just like, wow, that was fast, right? Like, why didn't you do that before? Because the one thing I learned, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of a cure.
The number one theme that I think I pound more than anything else is really the importance of finding your purpose and your reason why. We Beachbody, that was some of that going on early on when we were there too. But your purpose, you're playing on accountability. If you get those things wired, a lot of people are doing it for kind of the wrong reasons, in my opinion. I mean, when you're young and you're single and it's all about
vanity,
aesthetics and ego and
materialistic,
weight loss and inches and belt sizes and all that kind of stuff. But as a 65-year-old, bro,
Let's go, 65. Come on.
at my age, and as you get as you get older,
In your
it's
20s.
really about being able to function well in the world and being able to be comfortable in your own skin and being able to physically do the things you want to do as you get older. Because most people who are my age, a lot of my peers, people I went to high school and college with, are kind of done. Like, I just went skiing in Jackson Hole for 6 weeks. Awesome. I skied top to bottom. I couldn't even do that 5 years ago because of how I've altered the way I train. As skinny as I've ever been, but I've never been healthier.
So then let me ask
I
you-
feel
let me
tiny
ask-
next
You're
to Shaun.
lean. You're not skinny.
Yeah.
muscle is still there. Come on, Tony.
It comes out.
I don't know what you're talking about, Shaun. Anyway, great is you're doing it for the right reasons, and you're sharing that with the people that you work with, and that's what you want to plant. That seed's the one you want
See,
to
like,
plant.
obviously bouncing off of that and like what you were asking, so it's like that investment piece, until the day you are ready to look yourself in the mirror and be able to say, hey, when you're not supposed to go out, you're not gonna go out, right? I went months without cheating. I went months of strict eating. You've done preps. You had to get ready for your program shows. It's not like you just woke up one day, I'm gonna go do P90X. No, You have to get physically ready for it. So once you get the emotional and once you get that, the mental in there, that's why I always do like hey, let's talk real quick before you even sign up with me to see why do you want to do this? Is it for your kids? Is it for your health? Or is it because your girlfriend left you and now you want to, look at me, I got a six pack. Because that's how I am. I invested into myself to become 3D-like and not one dimension, be boring. So you're gonna be able to get whatever you want, however you want, when you want it.
You actually touched on it just now. And I'm a big believer in not being one-dimensional. When it comes to your fitness, when it comes to your mental health, when it comes to your life, when it comes to your relationships, touch on that a little bit more about not being one-dimensional.
I got to a point where on Instagram, I was watching so many different influencers and realizing that, oh, great, I'm just like the rest of them, right? I was like, so how do I separate myself? And actually, funny enough, it kind of brought me back to different bodybuilders and you guys. I was like, how did they stick out? How do they become different than the norm? How do you guys become like that black sheep? I'd studied it a lot. And that's how I figured it out. I'm like, all right, that's how you become, not on the conveyor belt, as I like to call it. Just like everybody else. Like, oh, I follow the Mediterranean diet. I follow the keto diet. Or I do P90X. I'm like, that's great, but that's it? Why not do more? I know this is gonna sound nerdy, because I'm a nerd, but it's like a Pokemon reference I make. He has 6 of them, 6 Pokeballs, so why not you have 6 different certifications, 6 different methods of working out, 6 different methods of eating, right? My style of dieting for people is reverse dieting, as you now know when it comes to bodybuilding. I remember from your plan, when it's like a refeed almost, right? You can't starve yourself. And then I throw in cheat meals and people are like, how are you giving somebody a cheat meal in the first week? Well, if you properly do a fasting the right way, a water fast, if you do it with certain supplementation, that's all 3-dimensional right there. I know some coaches that, oh, here's a nutrition plan. That's all I know how to do. What? How do you not know how to give a workout plan? How do you not know how to give a cardio plan or a supplement plan or even like how to do jump ropes or something, right? So like that's the thing. It's about how far do you want to take it? How far or how much do you want to invest into yourself before you can invest to others?
Shaun and I think our success comes from our persona, our presentation. I mean, he's just unique in his own way. I mean, there's carbon copy everything everywhere. And there's tens of thousands of people who, have maybe some of the same background, but their presentation sucks. You know what I mean? There's just something about them that isn't very attractive that way. And I know a lot of people with kinesiology degrees and exercise science backgrounds and nutrition backgrounds, and it's just a borathon, you know what I mean? And so, my thing was humor. My thing was being silly and adding that. And
You had like that dad joke kind of.
Yeah.
You would wear the high socks.
Dad. One guy without kids has got dad jokes. That's just who I am. I mean, I'm the same guy here I am with you and when I'm with Shaun as I am on camera. I don't have to sort of manufacture something. There's a lot of people in our industry that have huge personalities, but when you meet them in person and they're pretty quiet,
Like,
pretty
who's that
docile.
person?
Yeah, like not even the same guy. I mean, I'm kind of a dad joke guy all the time, apparently, but that was my niche. That was what worked for me, and it seems to still work. And what we all do is hard. The average person who's got a busy life and they got kids and a job and mortgages to pay, fitness doesn't really fit in. What I mean? So what is it about our persona and our energy, in yours as well, that gets people in the game so that they're improving not only physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, with relationships, becoming a better person, which opens them up to a whole new world of things that they would never even think of because they weren't physically fit before, and now they are.
Until the person, like you guys are exactly what I assumed you guys would be. You guys are no different.
Fabulous in every way.
Yeah, good. It's a good reviews. Yeah, 5 stars. So like tonality, right? That's a huge thing for me. It's how, like you said, it's a persona. It's the drill sergeant, the dad. How I also see it is a lot of people will watch your infomercials now and back then. Some people will look and like, this guy's a joke. This is boring. I don't want to do this. But because they're not ready for it. The time isn't ready. They're not the person they're supposed to be to do the thing that you want them to do. Miyamoto Musashi, he said, for you to become who you want to be, you have to sacrifice who you are. That's the hardest thing you can ever do, especially in this generation where it's all instant gratification, pass, right? It's like, come on, bro. Like, it's not hard, right? Life is already hard. Don't make it any harder. The more motivating you sound, the more friendly you sound, and even the more aggressive you sound, it can work. It's just you need to be in the right headspace, depending on how much you've invested in yourself, that you'll be able to reinvest it elsewhere.
I think that people think they have to be a certain way. A lot of people will start working out and they'll start doing fitness to like please someone else.
Interesting.
And even, because you kind of mentioned it, like if someone breaks up with them, they're like,
Oh,
I
okay,
need
in
to
that
look good
sense.
for somewhere else. Or some people try to get fit because they want to save the relationship and they're not doing it for themselves.
For the right reasons kind of thing.
Right,
I mean,
so-
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a very honest person. I was like that. You know what I mean? Until the day you're able to say, well, I was one of those. That's why I could talk about it. But a lot of people like to be like, oh, pointing fingers everywhere. Ah, look at me. But then you forget you have 3 more pointing back at you. So it's like, look at yourself first, then go off and do something about it.
And I think a lot of people who are starting out are like that anyway, especially if you're on the younger side.
It's a dusting off. That's how I look. You dust
just
it off.
wanna, you know, you're like, oh, okay, this is.
Pain.
I mean, when I took a bodybuilding, a weightlifting class, I'll say in college, my GPA was in the toilet, and I went, okay, this will be fun to do. I don't really know much about lifting weights or whatever. It was Nautilus machines and dumbbells and stuff. You know, my GPA went up. I showed up to more classes. My attention span improved. My sleep was better, and all these other things were happening. I thought by accident. And then, of course, the course ended, and then the semester ended, and then I went back to, you know, double cheese chimichangas, pizzas, and bacon cheeseburgers.
I mean, that doesn't sound
and, you know, and playing some hoop, and my GPA went into the toilet again. So it really, a lot of it has to do with knowing, and as a kid, I was still doing it for aesthetic purposes and ego and, you know, trying to meet women. But in the end, you know, now, like I said before, at my age now, it's a completely different reason.
What is that reason?
I like to ski hard, and I do ninja and climb trees and pegboards, and it's all about that sort of. I work as much or more on speed, balance, and range of motion as I do resistance, hypertrophy / cardio. Yeah. You know what I mean? I have plyometrics tonight. I'm flying back to LA. I got 20 people coming to my house for me to jump around in my side yard. I invite 40. Because if I don't and nobody shows up, I won't do it. But I know how important that is for my skiing. I mean, I do it for my athleticism, the quality of my life, being able to physically do the things I want to do at my age.
It's cool that you can look at it that way, because what I try to explain to people on social media or my clients, that fitness or the gym or dieting, it's not just the gym. It's not just doing weights, or like, you know, going around, jumping around in circles. It's a lot more than that. It's a lot more complex than that. It's like the iceberg, right? You only see the surface level, not anything underneath. Where anything you do in the gym will correlate what you do in life. So if you're consistent with something that's hard, right, doing just a dumbbell press, right, or like you used to do, the outside dumbbell press was like the worst thing in the world, right? And then someone told you to do burpees, yeah, then you're right there, don't you worry, you're right behind it. But guess what? That shows a lot of diligence, right? A lot of resilience. It builds your character in a way that if someone said, hey, go out there and go do your taxes, you're gonna go out there and do your taxes because you know you need to, you have to, and then you're consistent with it.
Yeah. One of the things that you have done, just listening to you talk, like a lot of people will start a journey, whether it's fitness, whether it's their career, and they don't keep like these really important moments and nuggets along the way to be able to use them moving forward. Yeah. And just hearing you talk today, it's like you actually applied stuff that he gave you, I gave you, stuff that you've learned on your own. You're applying your experiences with your clients and also the bodybuilding world. You know, and I just really want to commend you on staying consistent, because consistency over time, it equals trust and it equals results. And I go more on the trust aspect, because the more you trust yourself, you know, that's why I have trust and believe. Yeah. To believe in yourself, you must accept yourself. To accept yourself, you must trust in your power to believe.
I love that.
You are literally the definition of transformation. And I'm, you know, so excited that, you know, I got to share the torch with this guy over here. You know, long in our career, people would compare us. And I think it's really cool that you are able to use both of our strengths to let people out there know you don't have to be team one or the other. You just have to be team doing the best that you can do for you so that you can continue to push forward.
Built a foundation for who you are now.
Yeah.
Like, you're so locked in. Who you were before you met either one of us or discovered Shaun or I, you were probably a kid who was struggling in every possible way.
Oh.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it means a lot. It's been pretty rough, not gonna lie. The last 2 years, I'm not gonna lie to the both of you, I shouldn't even be here. But then, like you said, I dig deep. Like, I truly dig deep, and I was just like, you know what? There's more. There's still more out there. I know I can still do it, and the fact that you guys, yeah, I'm just grateful for the both of you. So thank you guys for like helping me just stay alive. You know, because if it wasn't for either one of you, God only knows where I'd be in this world.
Well, we're both here, and we're glad you're here.
Means a lot from the both of you, because I've learned recently, the more your foundation and your pillars, if it's made of like salt and just terrible things, it's gonna crumble on you sooner or later, right? That's why people blame consistency. Oh, well, you know, my life got in the way.
You sound like me when I do that, when I tease people the way they talk.
But see, because it's funny, it's just a sarcastic thing, because people just put way too much into everything. When life isn't that, it's black and white. It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
Either you do it or you don't.
I
right?
oftentimes say there's no gray area when it comes
There isn't,
to
but people
fitness.
make a gray area because they like to just make excuses. And then when the day you finally go and tell yourself, I'm gonna be serious about this and extend my knowledge and become a better person, the only person that's gonna really benefit is you.
And you
right?
have definitely become a better person.
Yeah, man.
Jonathan, thank you. We appreciate you. You can give Tony some love too. And I will say, when we come back, I'm gonna have a little sit down one-on-one with Tony to pick his brain a little bit about what it's like to be 65, flexible, balanced, and all the good stuff. And he's still doing plyometrics, and I refuse to have anything to do with that. We'll be right
That's
back.
the beauty of bodybuilding.
Welcome back to Tears of Transformation. I'm here with Tony Horton. First time I'm able to ask you a few questions.
Oh, no!
I am very, very excited
Here we go.
have you help me end this season of Tears of Transformation. I just wanted to start out by saying, can you just give me maybe one of the most profound things you learned? Because you're 65. You said it. I'm not just blurting your age out
No,
there.
it's
You're
cool, it's
65.
cool.
I like to brag about the fact that, I've been in the fitness industry for 25 years and, the consistency, but you got 20 years on me. So I want to hear from you. What is that one profound thing or that profound lesson that you learned that has kept you going, kept you diligent in the industry? You're still very relevant in the fitness industry.
From the days of getting up at 4:30 in the morning, training my first client in the dark, not even wanting to be a trainer. I wanted to be an actor and a performer and a stand-up and whatever, I did my first feature film this past summer. All that acting training and stand-up comedy and all those things finally paid off. Some first-time director called me up and he said, hey, I want you to play this character, in this movie called An Autumn Summer. And so,
When does it come out?
Well, we're still looking for distribution.
Oh,
you know what I mean? But it's done, and I went to the premiere, and I didn't stink, so it was good. My wife goes, "You were actually really good. You made me cry." I went, "Oh my God!" So I guess I did my job. But getting back to your question, it really, to me, at this stage of the game, it's about patience and persistence. I didn't have either one of those things when I first started because I was young and I was insecure and scared to death most days about almost anything, you know what I mean? Just trying to get by. I had all these expectations of who I wanted to be. I wanted to be Brad Pitt and Jim Carrey all mixed into one, you know what I mean?
That's a good little combo. I can actually see that.
Yeah, that actually kind of
almost. Personality
it
too.
It kind of almost sort of happened, in a weird way. When I was doing Second City LA and I was, 2 years on stage doing stand-up and trying to make people laugh or taking all these different acting classes, all that stuff ended up paying off indirectly as who I am on film for training people through exercise. But at this stage of the game, how do you keep going all these years? You know what I mean? A lot of people, and dude, you're in this business as well. It's a smoke and mirror thing for a lot of people in our profession, right? They're out of shape, they're in shape. My whole thing is joy, happiness, and laughter. So what are all the things that I need to do on a daily basis? I wrote a book about it, called The Big Picture, The 11 Laws That'll Change Your Life. I apply those 11 laws every single day like I do eating and breathing and getting up in the morning and going about my day. Because I spent half my life being sad and depressed, not knowing the things that I know now. And so the core of it really is about patience and persistence. I don't miss workouts, man. If I don't have anywhere to go and it's pouring rain outside and the gym doesn't exist, and I just find the floor and I get after it. I do some push-ups and do some cardio and some lunges or plyo and some ab routines, and I do that circuit 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times just to be able to physically move, because I know what physical movement does for my headspace. I know what it does for my emotional state. I know what it does for my productivity. I know what it does for as a husband. 3 days without it, and I'm kind of a dick. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute.
I'm not the best
Why do
dude.
we have the same number of days?
It's the 3 days. Because the norepinephrine, the dopamine, the serotonin, and the brain-derived neurotropic factor has circulated out. And it's only in there because we move our ass, oxygen in, carbon dioxide out.
Yeah.
So the more that's happening, I'm in Scottsdale right now, and I'm going to be in LA, and I'm going to do plyometrics with how many people show up. You know what I mean? And without that plyometric routine, tonight at 6 o'clock, I'm not the same guy the following day. Physically, you can't notice a difference. I can notice a difference if I'm consistent with that over the course of many months when I go to Jackson Hole and ski. I know who I am with it, and I know who I am without it. Yeah. So it's that patience and that persistence over time. At the age of 65, that allows me to.
You do not have a cane. Don't even try.
No, I don't hope not to ever, man.
Thanks for sharing that, because I will say, back in the day, I had come into the fitness world and I met you, and it was just kind of interesting because for me, while it was kind of a dream to have workouts and stuff like that, it was also a whirlwind, you know, because I
Yeah.
didn't quite know what I was getting into. I was like, oh, I'm going to produce some workouts, not knowing that there's this big community. I had only done live events. I had taught on like almost every continent in the world by the time I moved to LA. You know, I lived in other countries and taught and opened gyms, but it was really cool to come in and see you. You know, you had this like big personality. We both have big personalities. But it was really cool to see like your transformation from P90 to P90X. I was like, ooh, you got fancy, you know? I was like, oh,
Dude, I love the way you put that.
He went from a little gym to like, you know, state of the art. Just that transformation with those two programs, I'm sure, was enlightening for you.
Like day and night. Because, you know, my first gigs were with Nordic Trek, and I go to Minneapolis, right? And I go up there, and they were mostly instructional videos. They weren't really workouts because it was a piece of equipment. And a lot of them were like hour-long videos that they would provide to show people how to put this stuff together. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Horton. Today, we're going to spend an hour and a half putting this thing together. You know what I mean? Like it was really straight. You know, like I would walk up, and I would hit my mark, and I would read the prompter, and there was no room because back in those days, it was like humor and fitness don't go together. They're two separate things. They don't belong. And so that's how I started out. And then, of course, I'm training Billy Idol and Bruce Springsteen and Ewan McGregor and all these folks and really getting to know them. And when I was training those folks, I couldn't be a stiff, dull trainer, or they would boot me and they'd find the next guy.
Right.
And so they found me very relatable because I was just a normal guy with a sense of humor. And of course, I was doing the acting classes and doing the stand-up comedy and doing these things. And so unbeknownst to me, same thing with you, like, okay, you travel the world and you open all these gyms. You know, I was trying to be an actor. I was training, the celebrity training thing was a side gig, you know, in between being a dancer at Chippendales.
Wait, you were a dancer at Chippendales?
Well, I was a go-go dancer at Chippendales.
Oh, okay. I was a go-go dancer. I was a stripper, so we got more in common.
Hello. Yeah, and I used to do those gigs where they call up and I would do, you know, bachelorette parties.
Yeah, you're like,
I'd show
yo,
up as a
come
cop
make
or I'd
some money.
show up as a construction guy. Right? I used to go to Vegas.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much.
I used to go to Vegas and for these like super wealthy people and stand on the buffet table with like 5 other actors, and we would just be, I hope the camera can still see me, and I, you know what I mean? And we would move every once in a while, whatever you had to do, right? So the training thing was this side thing, but I ended up sort of enjoying it. And I mean, for me, I got lucky because I started with celebrities almost out of the box, you know what I mean? And then, of course, you know, I read this personal development book that said, go out of your way and do something nice for somebody you don't like. So the guy, Ben Vanderbunt, that I mentioned before, you know, before we started the segment, I didn't like the guy. We played ball together, you know what I mean? And he was a lawyer and all his friends were lawyers. I was the only non-lawyer there. And, you know, it was more arguing between lawyers than basketball. And we didn't like each other. You know what I mean? I thought he was an arrogant a-hole and he thought I was a cocky
a-hole.
And so I'm like, go out of your way. In between games, go out of your way and do something nice for somebody. So I said, hey, he was complaining about his weight. Like he'd like to enjoy playing ball better if he had lost the weight. And I went, okay. Hey, Ben, I could train you, you know? And he's like, don't you train like Springsteen and Billy Idol and stuff? Like, I didn't even know he knew that. Started training the guy, found out we were a lot alike. Isn't that funny? Like the people you don't like are a lot like you.
Yeah.
And then a year later, he introduces me to Carl, and my life changed forever, man.
That is
right?
extremely profound.
Yeah, man.
And you know, in my book, I actually talk about getting uncomfortable. That's the first superpower. And think about that. Doing that, going out of your way to, you know, befriend someone that you're like, I'm not really into this, can literally change your life.
Yeah,
you
man.
know, and I think that's my entire life and my entire story. It's just constantly pushing myself to get uncomfortable. The foundation of my life, my childhood was very uncomfortable. So again, we share that in common. Something else we share in common is we have millions of fans. We have changed millions of lives. I would say 20 plus million people have stood in front of a TV or a computer or a phone or whatever and have done our workouts. Yeah. How does that make you feel? Like I mean, you know, there's one thing from going from an actor, comedian, having side hustle to go-go dancer. Yeah. But like
But nobody knew who I was.
But no one
I wasn't making any money doing it.
Now 65, like what, you know, how does that feel?
Well, I don't know if you remember the very first time you were recognized. No one ever told us this is how you're supposed to behave or this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I was sick as a dog. I was walking into a pharmacy. I was waiting for my meds and Power 90 had been out for a while. And this girl walks in and recognizes me. And the place is packed with people, shoppers, people waiting for their prescriptions. And, oh my God, you're Tony. You know, and then she starts pirouetting.
Literally.
Your wedding in this. Look what you did to me. Like people look at, did this guy hurt her? What happened? Or, I'm just really sick with a really bad cold. This is even before there were phones and taking selfies. So we're like, she grabbed a pen and I signed a thing and we had a conversation. And I was like, whoa, I wonder if this will ever happen again. Of course, more Power 90, P90X, and it kind of blew up. I mean, on the airport, the way here, like
don't forget 10-minute trainer. 10-minute trainer, right? That's one of your programs.
Yeah.
That was a big one too.
Yeah, it was.
I was just saying, don't forget that one.
Well,
everyone here's P90, P90X,
P90X, X2, X3, 10-minute trainer was a big one. I forget, that was a big one as well.
That was a big one.
And people will still, like today, getting off the plane yesterday, this guy came up to me and then getting, like the pilot said hello. It was crazy, man. It still happens. I feel fortunate. I feel very lucky to be able to be in this position. But I also feel an obligation. Sometimes you're just not prepared, right? And people start coming out of the woodwork. Like a friend of mine, Dr. Mindy Pelz, and I had a conversation. She and I just did a program called Power Sync 60. And you and Jonathan were talking hormones. That whole program is designed not for men, but also for women based on their hormonal fluctuations. Because a lot of women who did P90X weren't getting the results that they wanted because Dr. Mindy Pelz changed the order. Right. She didn't do yoga on yoga day. She didn't do shoulders and arms. She changed the order. When you create these kind of things and you have this kind of notoriety, she and I were talking about it. I said, are you always like, when you got to be on, she goes, man, some days you just want to be in a robe and you want to be flipping channels and you want to be eating raisin toast and you don't want to talk to anybody, but you schedule this stuff out in time. Like, come in here. It's like, did I have to come here and do this? You shared the story. You told me about Jonathan. I had to be here, man. You know what I mean? So sometimes, like at the airport yesterday, I think a lot of it has to do with my lifestyle, like eating the right foods, getting the right sleep, staying hydrated. I'm able to kind of be up often because that's naturally who I am. But some days it's harder than others.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This season started out with a gentleman who's 65 years old, and he talked about my new program, Dig Deeper, which is my first true weightlifting program. How old were you when P90X came out?
Shot it when I was 46.
Okay, so this is really awesome.
Between 43 and 46.
It's funny because I said to myself randomly, I was like,
how old are you now?
I think 45. And I just came out my first.
Baby.
I'm still a baby. I'm looking at you, I'm like, yes. Yeah. There's
hope,
time,
man.
and there's hope.
There's hope. I'm not worried about you.
I'll get on skis one day. I always just started. I was like, I think Tony was around 45 when he put P90X out, and I was like, this is really cool. But we started off this season with a gentleman who's 65 years old who talked about, he has more days behind him than he does in front of him. And he went from 23% body fat to 12% body fat by following, my weightlifting plan and the motivation and, time under tension, as Jonathan was talking about.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know how old you were. I never really thought about how old you were.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, because I just always looked at you as fit and inspirational to so many people. And, I'm like, wow, I'm finishing my show with the most famous, 65-year-old fitness man in the world. So I want to see if you can give your fans, the people here, some inspiration to help them continue to transform.
Shaun, I can tell everybody who's watching, in a lot of ways, I'm as fit as I have ever been. Because I do a lot more yoga. I'm starting Animal Flow now. Animal Flow has been kind of a very interesting new process. I surround myself with much younger people. A lot of them are trainers. A lot of them are just friends of mine that come to the house and train. I work on my balance. I work because I had, as you know, I got sick in 2017. I got Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, and I still have some vestibular issues, which is kind of like vertigo. But I have a slack line, and I do yoga, and I go out in the street and I sprint, and I do a lot of things that younger people do. And the speed and the balance and the range of motion have been critical. And I still, like yesterday morning, knowing I was going to be here, I did 32 sets of shoulders and arms. You know what I mean? Just because I wanted to get good.
You want this, flex next to Shaun T, let's go.
Yeah, baby. But I've made these kinds of shifts, and anybody who's kind of watching has to understand persistence and patience is a critical piece to the puzzle. What is your purpose? Is it something that makes you a better human being, not only physically, mentally, emotionally, and every other possible way? Who are you surrounding yourself with? I think with me, I schedule workouts 6 days a week, and I invite the people, and maybe you can or cannot do that, but there's people online, there's people in your neighborhood, there's people at work, there's people in your house. There's got to be somebody you can do this with. And I always say this, what are the other things that you want to do in life? for me, it's about being in the moment, enjoying the journey, but planning the adventure. You know, planning ahead. Like my ski trips are huge. I mean, I've heli skied in South America. I've heli skied in Jackson Hole and up in British Columbia. And I plan these things in advance so that I train for those types of adventures. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, my wife, Shaun, and I got on our bikes on the Appian Way that Caesar built in Rome. You know what I mean? A lot of people were in their car watching it from the car because they weren't physically able to get on a bike and go. I think if you're consistent and you're planning your routines and you plan your adventures and you surround yourself with the right kind of people and you understand that it might not happen at the pace that you want it to happen, keep your ego out of it, keep the aesthetics out of it, do it for you and not for other people. I don't care whether you're 45 or 65 or 25, you can have a pretty exhilarating, incredible life if you make what you put in your mouth, how you eat, the supplements that you take, and how you physically move can change your life forever. And I know that's happened for you and I.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, taking the time out to be here, give us your wisdom, your humor, just all of you. And I think what's really cool is you still authentically love to give and inspire and be inspired by people, which I think is also really cool. So thank you for that. And to you out there, just like I start out my book, I say congratulations on taking that first step toward transformation. Maybe this is the first time you've ever watched or listened to anything that would help you want to transform. Oftentimes, we don't congratulate ourselves until we reach a certain goal or we get into that dress or we get to that goal weight, but I want you to congratulate yourself every single day. Because if you do that, that is the tangible and only tangible result you need. And that tangible result is the belief in yourself. Even on days where you feel like you're moving backwards, just say to yourself, always forward. Because even when you have to go back, if you keep the positive mindset, you will move forward. And like I've said this entire season, continue to dig deeper. You will continue to trust and believe in who you are, but most importantly, just continue to be you. Your journey is your journey, and stay tuned because there will be more from Transformation. Peace out.